Yes, good morning, students. Yesterday, I started the structural organization animals. In that, we have discussed that squamous epithelium and cuboidal epithelium under simple epithelium heading. Yesterday, I have listed different types of simple epithelium like squamous epithelium, cuboidal epithelium, columnar epithelium, ciliated epithelium, and glandular epithelium. Last class we have completed the first two types like simple epithelium and cuboidal epithelium. Today we are going to discuss the columnar epithelium. Columnar epithelium. First, let us come to the location of the columnar epithelium. In our body, in our body, columnar epithelium present in exocrine glands, present in exocrine glands and they ducts and their ducts also present in the stomach, small intestine, small intestine, salivary glands, salivary glands, gastric glands, salivary glands, gastric glands, and intestinal glands, and intestinal glands. So this is the location of the columnar epithelium in our body. It is present in exocrine glands and their ducts. You can take the example salivary glands, gastric glands, intestinal glands, also present in the stomach and the small intestine. I think you are getting it. This is the location of the columnar epithelium. Now, let us come to the structure of the columnar epithelium. Structurally, the cells are elongated, columnar, and pillar-like. Cells are elongated, columnar, and pillar-like, resting on the basement membrane. Cells are elongated, columnar, and pillar-like, resting on the basement membrane. This is the basement membrane. Here, each cell has a broad free end and a basal narrow end. A broad free end and a basal narrow end. The nucleus is elongated, located towards the basal narrow end. Nucleus is elongated. This is the nucleus. Is elongated, located towards the basal narrow end, and it is surrounded by cytoplasm. Surrounded by cytoplasm. I think you are getting it. This tissue is specialized for the absorption. Is specialized for the absorption and secretion. Specialized for the absorption and secretion. The absorptive cells, bear minute microscopic finger-like structures or projections at their broad free ends are called microvilli, which form a characteristics of brush border, of the brush border. Clearer? Then let us come to the functions of the columnar epithelium. It is meant for protection. It is meant for protection, absorption, and secretion. It is meant for protection, absorption, and secretion. So these are the functions of the columnar epithelium. So this much you should remember under the columnar epithelium. I'll repeat once again. Columnar epithelium present in exocrine glands and their ducts like salivary glands, gastric glands, intestinal glands, and also in the stomach, small intestine. Cells are elongated columnar pillar-like, resting on the basement membrane. Each cell has broad free end, basal narrow end. Here, nucleus is elongated, located towards the basal narrow end, surrounded by cytoplasm. This tissue is specialized for the absorption as well as the secretion. The absorptive cells bear minute microscopic finger-like projections at their broad free ends are called microvilli, which form a characteristics of the brush border. Which form a characteristics of the brush border. Clear? Then this tissue is meant for protection, absorption, and secretion. So these are the functions of the columnar epithelium. Next, okay, I'll go for the fourth one is the ciliated epithelium. Fourth one is the ciliated epithelium. Ciliated epithelium. Ciliated epithelium. It is a modified columnar epithelium. Yes. It is a modified columnar epithelium. The characters of the ciliated epithelium, exactly similar to the columnar epithelium. Exactly similar to the columnar epithelium, except location. And here, the broad free ends of the cells bear minute hair-like protoplasmic structures are called cilia. Look at the board. So look at the board. So this is the broad free end of the cells. In ciliated epithelium, the broad free end of the cells has numerous hair-like protoplasmic structures. These are only called cilia. These are only called cilia. You remember this. Rest of the characters are exactly similar to the columnar epithelium. You remember this. Like columnar epithelium, here also cells are elongated columnar and pillar-like, resting on the basement membrane. Each cell has broad free and basal narrow end. Nucleus is elongated, located near the basal narrow end. But here difference is the broad free end of the cells bear numerous hair-like protoplasmic structures. So these are called cilia. So these are called cilia. I think you are getting. Then let us come to the location of the ciliated epithelium. Location of the ciliated epithelium. It is always present in the moist regions of the body. Moist regions of the body, like the nasal cavity, trachea, bronchi, bronchi, then nasal cavity, trachea, bronchi, also present in uterus or fallopian tubes. You can take fallopian tubes, etc. Clear? So this is the location of the ciliated epithelium. Ciliated epithelium will always present in the moist regions of the body. Moist regions of the body, such as the nasal cavity, trachea, bronchi, fallopian tubes, and also in the uterus. I think you are getting me. See, for example, nasal cavity. You know that this we have discussed in the breathing and exchange of the gases. Nasal cavity is divided into three parts: anterior vestibular part, middle respiratory part, and posterior olfactory part. In the middle respiratory part, you can find the ciliated epithelium. Like that, even the wall of the trachea, you can find the ciliated epithelium. Even in the bronchi, wall of the bronchi, we can find the ciliated epithelium. So also present in uterus or fallopian tubes. So this is the location of the ciliated epithelium. Now let us come to the functions of the ciliated epithelium. Here, cilia meant for elimination of the foreign substances. You remember this. This we have discussed under the functions of the nasal cavity. Functions of the nasal cavity. Even the functions of trachea also we have discussed. See, during inspiration, many foreign substances may enter into the respiratory tract. Clear? In the nasal cavity, you can find the mucus. Even in the bronchi or trachea also, we can find the mucus. That mucus trap the fine dust particles present in air. Cilia, it pushes the mucus along with the dust particles up to the larynx and later outwards. I think you are getting it. ಇವಾಗ ನೋಡಿ, ನಾವು ಇನ್ಸ್ಪಿರೇಷನ್ ಟೈಮಲ್ಲಿ ನಮಗೇನು ಕೋಲ್ಡ್ ಆಗಿರೋದಿಲ್ಲ. ಒಂದೊಂದು ಸಲ ಥ್ರೋಟ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಇರಿಟೇಷನ್ ಆಗ್ತಿರುತ್ತೆ. ಅವ ನಾವೇನ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ, ಫೋರ್ಸ್ ಆಗಿ ಮ್ಯೂಕಸ್ ಅನ್ನ ಮೌತ್ ಕ್ಯಾವಿಟಿ ತಗೊಂಡು ಸ್ಪಿಟ್ ಔಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ. ಅಂದ್ರೆ ದಟ್ ಮೀನ್ಸ್ ದಟ್ ಮ್ಯೂಕಸ್ ಕಂಟೈನ್ ಫಾರಿನ್ ಸಬ್ಸ್ಟೆನ್ಸಸ್ ಅಂತ ಅರ್ಥ. ಆಕ್ಚುಲಿ ಇದು ಮ್ಯೂಕಸ್ ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ, ಒಳಗಡೆ ಲೋಯರ್ ರೆಸ್ಪಿರೇಟರಿ ಟ್ರ್ಯಾಕ್ಟ್ ಗೆ ಎಂಟ್ರಿ ಆಗ್ತಾರೆ, ಪ್ರಿವೆಂಟ್ ಮಾಡುತ್ತೆ, ಟ್ರ್ಯಾಪ್ ಮಾಡುತ್ತೆ. ಈ ಸೀಲಿಯಾ ಏನ್ ಮಾಡುತ್ತೆ, ಲ್ಯಾರಿಂಗ್ಸ್ ವರೆಗೂ ಪುಷ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡು ಬರುತ್ತೆ. ಅವಾಗ ನಾವೇನ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ, ಬೈ ದಟ್ ಆಕ್ಟಿವಿಟಿ ವಿ ಆರ್ ಗೋಯಿಂಗ್ ಟು ಸ್ಪೀಟ್ ಇಟ್ ಔಟ್. So that is the function of the ciliated epithelium. I'll repeat once again. Ciliated epithelium is a modified columnar epithelium. The characters of the ciliated epithelium exactly similar to the columnar epithelium. The difference is here the broad free end of the cells bare. Numerous hair-like protoplasmic outgrowths are called cilia, always present in moist regions of the body. Then cilia helps in elimination of the foreign substances from the body. Clear up? So this is the ciliated epithelium. Next, fifth one is the glandular epithelium. Glandular epithelium. Glandular epithelium. We can say it is also a modified columnar epithelium, but it is specialized for the secretion. Modified columnar epithelium, it is specialized for the secretion. That you should keep in mind. There are two systems of classification of the glands are there. Number one is the based on number of cells. Based on number of cells in a layer involved for the secretion. Based on the number of cells in a layer involved for the secretion, glands are of two types. Glands are of two types. They are the unicellular glands. They are the unicellular glands and multicellular glands. Unicellular glands and multicellular glands. So these are the two types of the glands based on the number of cells involved in the secretion. So glandular epithelium is a modified columnar epithelium specialized for the secretion. Here there are two systems of classification of it. One is the based on the number of cells in a layer involved for the secretion. Glandular glands are of two types: unicellular glands, multicellular glands. For example, let us consider this is the layer of the cells. In a layer of the cells, suppose if only one cell is involved for the secretion, in a layer of the cells, if only one cell is involved for the secretion, it is called unicellular gland. It is called unicellular gland. We can take the example goblet cell. Example goblet cell. It always secretes an alkaline mucus. Always secretes an alkaline mucus. Clear up? So, in a layer of the cells, only one cell is involved for the secretion. Then it is called unicellular gland. Example of goblet cell. I think you're getting it. Next, multicellular glands. Listen to me. In a layer of the cells, let us consider this is the layer of the cells. Here many cells are involved for the secretion. Many cells are involved for the secretion. Many cells are involved for the secretion. In a layer of the cells, many cells are involved for the secretion. So these are called multicellular glands. You can take the example salivary glands. Example salivary glands. You remember this. I think it is very clear. So this is the one system of classification. I'll repeat once again. Glandular epithelium is a modified columnar epithelium specialized for the secretion. Based on the number of cells in a layer involved for the secretion, it is of two types: unicellular glands, multicellular glands. In a layer of the cells, only one cell is involved for the secretion, unicellular gland. Example, goblet cell. It is a specialized wine glass shaped cell meant for the secretion of the mucus. That is the unicellular gland. Let us consider this is the layer of the cells. In this case, Many cells are involved for the secretion. A is called multicellular gland. Example of salivary glands. This is the one system of the classification. Next, second one. Based on the presence or absence of the ducts. Based on the presence or absence of ducts. Based on the presence or absence of the ducts. Glands are of three types. Glands are of three types. They are exocrine glands. They are exocrine glands. Endocrine glands. Exocrine glands. Endocrine glands. And heterocrine glands. Heterocrine glands. Exocrine glands. Endocrine glands. And heterocrine glands. These are the three types of the glands. A gland with duct called exocrine glands. A gland with duct called exocrine glands. The secretions of the exocrine glands do not directly enter into the blood, but through the ducts only these secretions enter into the blood. That you should remember. So these are called exocrine glands. You can take the example here: liver, salivary glands, gastric glands, intestinal glands, etc. Liver, salivary glands, gastric glands, intestinal glands, etc. All these are the exocrine glands. Clear? Now let us come to the endocrine glands. Glands without ducts are called endocrine glands, also called as ductless glands. Glands without ducts are called endocrine glands, also called as ductless glands. Ductless glands. The secretions of the endocrine glands are called hormones. Since ducts are absent here, their secretions are directly released into the bloodstream. ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಡಕ್ಟ್ಸ್ ಇರೋದಿಲ್ಲ, ಹಂಗಾಗಿ ಹಾರ್ಮೋನ್ಸ್ ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ ಡೈರೆಕ್ಟ್ ಆಗಿ ಬ್ಲಡ್ ಒಳಗಡೆ ರಿಲೀಸ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಐ ಥಿಂಕ್ ಯು ಆರ್ ಗೆಟಿಂಗ್ ಇಟ್. ಸೊ ವಿ ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಟೇಕ್ ದ ಎಕ್ಸಾಂಪಲ್ ಹಿಯರ್. ಪಿಟ್ಯೂಟರಿ ಗ್ಲ್ಯಾಂಡ್, ಪಿಟ್ಯೂಟರಿ ಗ್ಲ್ಯಾಂಡ್, ಪಿಟ್ಯೂಟರಿ ಗ್ಲ್ಯಾಂಡ್, thyroid gland, thyroid gland, adrenal glands, thyroid gland, adrenal glands, parathyroid gland, parathyroid glands, thymus gland, thymus gland, etc. Thymus gland, etc. So all these are the endocrine glands. Remember this. Clear? So gland without ducts are called endocrine glands. The secretions of endocrine glands are called hormones. Since the ducts are absent here, the hormones are directly released into the bloodstream. Clear? Example: pituitary gland, thyroid, parathyroid, adrenal glands, thymus gland, etc. All these are the endocrine glands. Okay. Now let us come to the heterocrine glands. Heterocrine glands are also called as mixed glands, also called as dual glands. Heterocrine glands are also called mixed glands, also called as dual glands, because these glands are both exocrine part and endocrine part. Heterocrine glands, also called as mixed glands, also called as dual glands, because they have both exocrine part and endocrine part. Exocrine part and endocrine part. I can give the example here: pancreas and gonads, nothing but sex organs. Gonads are nothing but sex organs. So these are the examples of the heterocrine glands. Male gonad is called testis, female gonad is the ovary. So pancreas, testis and ovaries are the heterocrine glands because they are both exocrine part and endocrine part. For example, let us consider it is a TS of pancreas, transverse section of the pancreas. If you are going to observe this under the microscope, you can see both exocrine part and endocrine part. Okay, so this is called exocrine part. This is called exocrine part. So this is the exocrine part. Exocrine part. And this is called endocrine part. This is the endocrine part. ಇದೇ ತರ ನೀವು ಮೈಕ್ರೋಸ್ಕೋಪ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ನೋಡಬಹುದು. ಎಕ್ಸೋಕ್ರೈನ್ ಪಾರ್ಟ್ ಡಾರ್ಕ್ ಪಿಂಕ್ ಸ್ಟೈನ್ ಕಲರ್ ತಗೊಂಡಿರುತ್ತೆ. ಎಂಡೋಕ್ರೈನ್ ಪಾರ್ಟ್ ಕಲರ್ಲೆಸ್ ಈ ತರ ಸೆಲ್ಸ್ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. Okay, by keeping that character, you can easy to identify which is the exocrine part, which is the endocrine part. In pancreas, exocrine part is called pancreatic acinine, which secretes pancreatic juice containing digestive enzymes. Endocrine part is called islets of Langerhans. ನೋಡಿ ಈ ತರ ಒಂದೇ ಗ್ಲ್ಯಾಂಡ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಎಕ್ಸೋಕ್ರೈನ್ ಪಾರ್ಟ್ ಎಂಡೋಕ್ರೈನ್ ಪಾರ್ಟ್ ಎರಡೂ ಇತ್ತು ಅಂದ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ. Such kind of glands are called endocrine glands or dual or mixed glands. Like that, even the testes and ovaries also you can take the example. Clear? So this is the another system of classification of the glands. Once again, I'll repeat. So based on the presence or absence of the ducts, glands are of three types: exocrine glands, endocrine glands, heterocrine glands. Gland with ducts are called exocrine glands. Their secretions are released into the bloodstream through the ducts only. Examples: salivary glands, gastric glands, intestinal glands, liver. Glands without ducts are called endocrine glands, also called as ductless glands. The secretions of endocrine glands are called hormones. Since the ducts are absent here, hormones are directly released into the bloodstream. Example: pituitary gland, thyroid gland, parathyroid glands, adrenal glands, thymus glands, hypothalamus, pineal body, etc. All these are the examples for the endocrine glands. Then heterocrine glands, also called as mixed or dual glands. In the word itself, you are going to get the meaning actually. Mixed or dual glands because they have both exocrine part and endocrine part. Example: pancreas, testes, and ovaries. See, in the pancreas, exocrine part is called pancreatic acinine, secretes pancreatic juice containing digestive enzymes. Endocrine part is made up of colorless, irregularly distributed cells are called islets of Langerhans. Usual islets of Langerhans, four types of cells are there: alpha cells, beta cells, delta cells, and gamma cells. This we have discussed in endocrine part of the chemical coordination integration. Alpha cells secretes glucagon, beta cells secrete insulin. Both the hormones play significant role in maintaining the normal sugar level in the blood. That is 80 to 120 mg per 100 ml of the blood. ನೋಡಿ ಎರಡು cells ಈ normal sugar level ಅನ್ನ ಎರಡು cell secretions like glucagon and insulin both are capable of maintaining the normal sugar level in the blood. That is 80 to 120 mg per 100 ml of the blood. Clear? So this is the gland, different types of glands based on the presence or absence of the duct. With this, we have completed the simple epithelium and its types. Okay. Next, we'll go for the compound epithelium. Next, we'll go for the compound epithelium. Compound epithelium. Compound epithelium. In the word itself, you are going to get the meaning. What we have discussed in the last class for simple epithelium. If the epithelium consisting of only one layer of the cells, correct? Simple epithelium. ಇವಾಗ ಅದರ opposite ನಾವು compound epithelium. If the epithelium consists of many layers of the cells, is called compound epithelium. Many layers of the cells is called compound epithelium. In the compound epithelium now, the size and the shape of the cells vary from one layer to the another layer. It is not at all same. The shape, size of the cells vary from one layer to the another layer. It is not at all same. So let us consider it is the compound epithelium. ನೋಡಿ ತುಂಬಾ cells ಇದೆ. ಮತ್ತೆ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಏನಂತಂದ್ರೆ the size and shape of the cells are not at all similar in different layers. ಒಂದೊಂದು ಲೇಯರ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಒಂದೊಂದು ತರ ಸೈಜ್ ಇರುತ್ತೆ, ಒಂದೊಂದು ತರ ಶೇಪ್ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. This is the one point. Another point, only the lowermost cells resting on the basement membrane. You remember this. Only the lowermost layer of the cells. Only the lowermost layer of the cells resting on the basement membrane. Clear? Since one more point. This layer of the cells is also called as germinative layer. Also called as germinative layer. Because in this layer now, the cells undergo repeated mitotic division and produces new daughter cells. Clear? That is why the lowermost cells are also called as germinative layer anta kariteve. You remember this? Clear? So the epithelium which consists of many layers of the cells is called compound epithelium. One point. The size and shape of the cells in all the layers are not at all similar. Yes. So in this type, the size and shape of the cells in different layers are not at all similar. Only the lowermost cells resting on the basement membrane. It is also called a germinative layer because here the cells undergo repeated mitotic division and produces number of new daughter cells. Clear? Okay. So this compound epithelium has a little significant role in absorption as well as the secretion, but it always protects the underlying tissues. It is a less specialized for the absorption and secretion and provide protection to the underlying tissues. Compound epithelium further divided into three types. They are the keratinized stratified squamous epithelium, non-keratinized stratified squamous epithelium, and transitional epithelium. So these are the three types of the compound epithelium. Keratinized stratified squamous epithelium, non-keratinized stratified squamous epithelium, and transitional epithelium. Okay, first let us come to the keratinized stratified squamous epithelium. In this type, the outermost cell surface, in the outermost cell surface, there is a waterproof non-living protein called keratin. Non-living protein called keratin. Hence the name keratinized stratified squamous epithelium. Due to the presence of non-living protein now, hence it is also a dead. You remember this. I think you are getting. ಇದೇ outermost surface cells ಅಂತ ತಗೊಳ್ಳೋದು. ಈ cell surface ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಮಾತ್ರ keratin ಇರುತ್ತೆ. Keratin is a waterproof non-living protein. That is why these cells are the dead ಅಂತ ಕರೀತೀವಿ. In our body, this keratinized stratified squamous epithelium found in dry regions. I can take the example palm and below the foot. See, this is the keratinized stratified squamous epithelium. ಇಲ್ಲಿ ನೋಡಿ, ಈ outermost layer non-living. ಇವಾಗ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಬ್ಲೇಡ್ ತಗೊಳ್ಳಿ, ಒಂದು ತಿನ್ ಲೇಯರ್ ಪೇಪರ್ ಅಷ್ಟು ತೆಗೀರಿ, ಪೇನ್ ಆಗೋದಿಲ್ಲ. ಯಾಕೆ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಔಟರ್ಮೋಸ್ಟ್ ಸೆಲ್ ಸರ್ಫೇಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಕೆರಾಟಿನ್ ಇರೋದ್ರಿಂದ ಈ ಸೆಲ್ಸ್ ಡೆಡ್ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. ಲೈಕ್ ದಟ್ ಇವನ್ ಇನ್ ದ ಫುಟ್ ಆಲ್ಸೋ. ಇವಾಗ ನಾವು ಶೂ ಅಥವಾ ಚಪ್ಪಲಿ ಇಲ್ಲ ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ನಾವು ನಡಿಬಹುದು. ಯಾಕೆ ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ಅಲ್ಲೂ ಕೂಡ ಕೆರಾಟಿನೈಸ್ ಸ್ಟ್ರಾಟಿಫೈಡ್ ಸ್ಕ್ವಾಮಸ್ ಎಪಿಥೆಲಿಯಂ ಇರೋದ್ರಿಂದ ಆ ಹೊರಗಡೆ ಲೇಯರ್ ಔಟರ್ಮೋಸ್ಟ್ ಲೇಯರ್ ಡೆಡ್ ಆಗಿರುತ್ತೆ. I think you are getting this. So this is the keratinized. Next, non-keratinized stratified squamous epithelium. It is found in moist regions of the body. I can take the example mouth, tongue, esophagus, and vagina. I think you are getting it. Non-keratinized stratified squamous epithelium present in the moist regions of the body: mouth, tongue, esophagus, and vagina. Here, in the outermost surface of the cells, keratin is completely absent. Hence the cells are living. And these cells undergo considerable wear and tear. That also you should remember. These cells undergo considerable wear and tear. Clear? So this is the non-keratinized stratified squamous epithelium. So in this case, outermost surface of the cells, keratin is completely absent. Hence the cells are living. These cells undergo considerable wear and tear. Clear? Always present in moist regions of the body. Which are that? Mouth, tongue, esophagus and vagina. I think you're getting it. Okay. Now let us move to the last one is the transitional epithelium. This epithelium consists of 4 to 6 layers of the cells. This epithelium consists of 4 to 6 layers of the cells. This epithelium consists of 4 to 6 layers of the cells. 4 to 6 layers of the cells. You remember this. Transitional epithelium always present around the renal pelvis, ureter, urinary bladder and urethra. This is the renal pelvis. These are the ureters, urinary bladder and urethra. ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಈ ಯೂಶುವಲಿ ಯೂರಿನ್ ಈ ಪಾರ್ಟ್ಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲೇ ಸ್ಟೋರ್ ಆಗ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥದ್ದು. ರಿನಲ್ ಪೆಲ್ವಿಸ್, ಯುರೇಟಸ್, ಯುರಿನರಿ ಬ್ಲಾಡರ್, ಯುರೇತ್ರ. ಇವಾಗ ಬ್ಲಾಡರ್ ಫಿಲ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ, ಎಲಿಮಿನೇಟ್ ಮಾಡಿದೀವಿ ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ಯುರೇಟಸ್ ರಿನಲ್ ಪೆಲ್ವಿಸ್ ವರೆಗೂ ಇರೋದಿಲ್ಲ. ಕೆಲವು ಸಂದರ್ಭದಲ್ಲಿ ನಾವು ಹೋಗಕ್ಕಾಗಲ್ಲ, ತುಂಬಾ ಹೊತ್ತು ಸ್ಟೋರ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡಿರ್ತೀವಿ, ರೀನಲ್ ಪೆಲ್ವಿಸ್ ವರೆಗೂ ನಾವು ಸ್ಟೋರ್ ಮಾಡಬಹುದು ಅಷ್ಟೇನೆ. ಕ್ಲಿಯರ್? ಅದಕ್ಕಿಂತ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ನಾವು ಸ್ಟೋರ್ ಮಾಡಕ್ಕಾಗಲ್ಲ. 100% ನಾವು ಹೊರಗಡೆ ಹೋಗಿ ಎಲಿಮಿನೇಟ್ ಮಾಡಲೇಬೇಕಾಗುತ್ತೆ. ನೋಡಿ, ಅರೌಂಡ್ ದೀಸ್ ಪಾರ್ಟ್ಸ್ we can find the 4 to 6 layers of the transitional epithelium. ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಇದರ ಸುತ್ತಲೂ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. ಹಂಗಾಗಿ it prevents the leakage of urine to the surrounding medium. That is the function of the transitional epithelium. I think you are getting it. So transitional epithelium consists of 4 to 6 layers of the cells present around the renal pelvis, ureters, urinary bladder and urethra. What is the function of the transitional epithelium? It prevents the leakage of urine to the surrounding medium. Clear? So these are the three types of the compound epithelium. Keratinized stratified squamous epithelium, non-keratinized stratified squamous epithelium, transitional epithelium. I think you're getting. So with the compound epithelium types, we have completed the epithelial tissues and their types. Next we'll go for the connective tissues. Yes. Okay. So in the epithelial tissues, I have completed the types of junctions. I have forget to explain the junction section. Now I will complete that. Okay, listen. In the epithelial tissues, the neighboring cells are held together by intercellular junctions. Neighboring cells are held together by intercellular junctions. Junctions are of three types. They are the junctions are of three types. They are the tight junctions. They are the tight junctions, adhering junctions, and gap junctions. So these are the three types of the junctions. You remember this. Yesterday I forgot to explain this section. Now I'll complete this. In epithelial tissues, the neighboring cells are held together by intercellular junctions. They are of three types: tight junctions, adhering junctions, gap junctions. Okay, first let us come to the tight junctions. Here, neighboring cells are held together by sealing strands. Neighboring cells are held together by sealing strands to create the barrier between the cells and also to prevent the leakage to the surrounding medium are called tight junctions. Or I can say that the plasma membranes of adjacent cells are held together by sealing strands. Plasma membrane of adjacent cells are held together by sealing strands to prevent the leakage and also to create the barrier between the cells are called the tight junctions. I think you are getting. I'll repeat once again. Plasma membranes of adjacent cells are held together by sealing strands to prevent the leakage and create the barrier between the cells are called tight junctions. Now let us come to the adhering junctions. Here, the adjacent cells are held together with the help of cytoplasmic strands are called desmosomes. Desmosomes are called adhering junctions. The cells are held together by held together by are connected together by a cytoplasmic strands are called desmosomes. So these are called adhering junctions. Next, last one is the gap junctions. These are the hydrophilic channels. These are the hydrophilic channels formed between the cells with the help of six protein cylinders are called connexons. These are the hydrophilic channels between the cells formed by the six protein cylinders are called connexons, are called gap junctions. So tight junctions, adhering junctions and gap junctions. So three types of junctions we should remember. Okay. Now let us come to the connective tissue. Let us come to the connective tissue. Connective tissue. Okay, listen here. The tissue which connects various organs in our body or various tissues in our body is called connective tissue. As we discussed in the last class, it is derived from the mesoderm. Connective tissue is derived from the mesoderm. The tissue which connects various organs or tissues is called connective tissue derived from the mesoderm. You know this tissue is supplied with the blood vessels. Yesterday we have discussed that epithelial tissue is avascular, but connective tissue is vascular. You remember that also. I think you are getting it. The matrix here, the cells are loosely arranged with intercellular spaces filled with the matrix. That matrix contains different types of cells and fibers. Later in the types I am going to explain the different types of cells as well as the fibers. Yesterday we have discussed that cell types and fibers are absent in epithelial tissues. The matrix of the connective tissue contains different types of cells and fibers. Clear? In the connective tissue, the matrix is modified into various forms. The matrix is modified into various forms. For example, in the cartilage, matrix is the soft. In the bone, fluid in nature. Okay, in the bone, it is very hard and rigid. In the blood, it is a fluid in nature. Like that, okay, it is modified into various forms in different connective tissue. I'll repeat once again. Matrix is modified into different forms in different kinds of connective tissues. For example, in cartilage, matrix is very soft. In the bone, it is very rigid. Very rigid because of the presence of calcium substances. In the blood, it is a fluid in nature called plasma. That you should keep in our mind. So these are some of the general characters of the connective tissue. I'll repeat once again. The tissue which connects various organs in our body is called connective tissue, derived from the mesoderm. It is a vascular. It is a vascular. The intercellular spaces filled with matrix, in which various types of cells and fibers are embedded. Clear? The matrix is modified into different forms and different connective tissue. For example, in cartilage, it is very soft. In bone, it is very hard and rigid due to the presence of calcium substances. In blood, it is a fluid in nature is called plasma. I think you are getting it. Now, the connective tissue is divided into three types. They are the loose connective tissue, dense connective tissue, loose connective tissue, dense connective tissue, and specialized connective tissue. So these are the three types: loose connective tissue, dense connective tissue, specialized connective tissue. These are the three types of the connective tissues. Okay, first let us come to the loose connective tissue. Loose connective tissues are: one is the areolar connective tissue. Areolar connective tissue. Another one is the adipose tissue. Areolar connective tissue. Another one is the adipose tissue. Yes. So loose connective tissue. In this case, the cells and fibers are loosely arranged in the matrix. Hence the name loose connective tissue. The loose connective tissues are areolar connective tissue and adipose tissue. Okay, first let us come to the areolar connective tissue. In our body, areolar connective tissue is always present below the skin. Present below the skin, between the muscles, between the organs of the body, surrounding the blood vessels, nerves, and the heart, where you can find the areolar connective tissue. It is present below the skin, between the muscles, between the organs of the body, surrounding the blood vessels, heart, and also nerves, surrounding the blood vessels, nerves and heart, where we can find the areolar connective tissue. Listen to me. Let us consider it is the areolar connective tissue. Areolar connective tissue. This is called matrix. This is called matrix. In the areolar connective tissue, the matrix has the 5 types of cells and 3 types of the fibers. In the matrix of the areolar connective tissue, there are 5 types of cells and 3 types of fibers. Okay, first let us come to the what are the cell types present in matrix of the areolar connective tissue. One by one we are going to discuss. First one is the fibrocyte. Fibrocyte. It is also called as fibroblast. It is also called as fibroblast. It is an elongated flattened cell with the stellate processes and oval nuclei. Fibroblasts or fibrocytes are the elongated flattened cells with the stellate processes and oval nuclei. These fibroblasts now, they always secrete white and yellow fibers. They secrete white and yellow fibers. They secrete white and yellow fibers. This is the function of the fibrocytes. Fibrocytes, also called as fibroblasts, these are elongated flattened cells with the stellate processes and oval nuclei. They secrete white and yellow fibers. Later, under fibers, we are going to discuss both. This is the one. Next one is the macrophages. Next one is the macrophages. Macrophage. Macrophage, it is also called as histiocyte. It is also called as histiocyte. These are the large amoeboid cells with the small spherical nuclei. These are the large amoeboid cells with the small spherical or oval nuclei. They are phagocytic in nature, engulf the bacteria and dead cells present in the matrix of the connective tissue. Clear? Hence, they are also called as phagocytes. You remember this also. So, macrophages also called as histiocytes. As I said, these are the large irregular amoeboid cells with the oval nuclei. They always engulf the bacteria and dead cells. They always engulf the bacteria and dead cells. Hence, they are also called as phagocytes. Hence, they are also called as phagocytes. I think it is very clear for you. Next, let us come to the mast cell. Let us consider it is a mast cell. These are the spherical or oval shaped cells with the small oval nuclei. Mast cells are the spherical or oval shaped cells with the small oval nuclei. These mast cells secrete the matrix. Mast cells secrete the matrix, and also they secrete three secretions like heparin, histamine, and serotonin. You remember this. These are the three secretions of the master cells. ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ಪಾಯಿಂಟ್ ಜ್ಞಾಪಕ ಇಟ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ. 2019 NEET example ಕೇಳಿದ್ದಾರೆ. The same secretions are also produced by the basophil cells of the blood. These are the cell types of the WBC. You remember this. Basophil cells ಕೂಡ ಈ ಮೂರು secretions ಅನ್ನ produce ಮಾಡುತ್ತೆ. Heparin, histamine, serotonin. These three secretions are produced by mast cells as well as the basophil cells. Clear? Now let us come to the what are the functions of all the three secretions. Heparin, it is an anticoagulant. It is an anticoagulant. That means prevents the coagulation of the blood, clotting of the blood. ಇವಾಗ ಕಿಡ್ನಿ ಫೇಲ್ಯೂರ್ ಆದಾಗ ಹಿಮೋಡಯಾಲೈಸಿಸ್ ಹೋಗ್ತಾರೆ. ಅವಾಗ ಯೂರಾಲಜಿಸ್ಟ್ ಏನ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ, ಹಿಮೋಡಯಾಲೈಸಿಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಇವರಿಗೆ ಈ ಹೆಪಾರಿನ್ ಅನ್ನ ಇಂಜೆಕ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ. ಆಕ್ಚುಲಿ ಇಟ್ ಆಕ್ಟ್ಸ್ ಆಸ್ ಅನ್ ಆಂಟಿಕೋಗುಲೆಂಟ್, ಪ್ರಿವೆಂಟ್ಸ್ ದ ಕೋಆಗುಲೇಷನ್ ಆಫ್ ದ ಬ್ಲಡ್. ದಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಕಾಲ್ಡ್ ಆಂಟಿಕೋಗುಲೆಂಟ್ ಅಂತ ಕರೀತೀವಿ ಹೆಪಾರಿನ್. ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಹಿಸ್ಟಾಮೈನ್, ಇಟ್ ಈಸ್ ವಾಸೋಡೈಲೇಟರ್. Vasodilator means increases the lumen of the blood vessel. That is called vasodilator. I think first POC human physiology we have discussed that. Cardiac output anta ಒಂದು heading ಬರುತ್ತೆ. Cardiac output. That means amount of blood pumped to ventricles per minute is called cardiac output. It can be determined by multiplying the stroke volume and heart rate. SV into HR anta. CO is equal to SV into HR. SV is the stroke volume. HR is the heart rate. Amount of blood pumped by ventricles per heartbeat is called stroke volume. In a healthy adult man, it is 70 ml. You know that in a healthy adult human being, heart beats approximately 72 times per minute. This is called heart rate anta kariti. So 70 into 72 5040 ml. So ಇದನ್ನ ಲೀಟರ್ಸ್ ಕನ್ವರ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡಿದಾಗ 5.04 ಲೀಟರ್ಸ್ ಪರ್ ಮಿನಿಟ್. ನೋಡಿ, ನಮ್ಮ ಎರಡು ವೆಂಟ್ರಿಕಲ್ಸ್ ಒಂದು ನಿಮಿಷಕ್ಕೆ 5.04 ಲೀಟರ್ಸ್ ಅನ್ನ ಬ್ಲಡ್ ಅನ್ನ ಪಂಪ್ ಮಾಡುತ್ತೆ. ದಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಓನ್ಲಿ ಕಾಲ್ಡ್ ಕಾರ್ಡಿಯಾಕ್ ಔಟ್ಪುಟ್. ಆಸ್ ಐ ಸೆಡ್, ಅಮೌಂಟ್ ಆಫ್ ಬ್ಲಡ್ ಪಂಪ್ಡ್ ಟು ವೆಂಟ್ರಿಕಲ್ಸ್ ಪರ್ ಮಿನಿಟ್ ಇಸ್ ಕಾಲ್ಡ್ ಕಾರ್ಡಿಯಾಕ್ ಔಟ್ಪುಟ್. ಇಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಡಿಟರ್ಮೈನ್ಡ್ ಬೈ ಮಲ್ಟಿಪ್ಲೈಯಿಂಗ್ ಸ್ಟ್ರೋಕ್ ವಾಲ್ಯೂಮ್ ಅಂಡ್ ಹಾರ್ಟ್ ರೇಟ್. Amount of blood pumped to ventricles per heartbeat is called stroke volume. It is about 70 ml. Heart beats approximately 72 times per minute. This is called heart rate. Clear? So 70 into 72 5040 ml or 5 liters convert ಮಾಡಿದಾಗ 5.04 liters ಇರುತ್ತೆ. This is the cardiac output. ಅಂದ್ರೆ ನಮ್ಮ ಎರಡು ವೆಂಟ್ರಿಕಲ್ಸ್ ಒಂದು ನಿಮಿಷಕ್ಕೆ 5 ಲೀಟರ್ ಬ್ಲಡ್ ಅನ್ನ ಪಂಪ್ ಮಾಡುತ್ತೆ ಇಟ್ಕೊಳ್ಳೋಣ. ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ 750 ml ಬ್ರೈನ್ ಹೋಗ್ಬೇಕು ಒಂದು ನಿಮಿಷಕ್ಕೆ. ಒಂದು ವೇಳೆ ಸಪೋಸ್ ಇಫ್ ಇನ್ ಎನಿ ಪರ್ಸನ್ ಇಟ್ ಎಕ್ಸೀಡ್ಸ್ ಮೋರ್ ದನ್ 5 ಲೀಟರ್ಸ್, ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಆಗಿದೆ ಅಂದ್ಕೊಳ್ಳೋಣ, ಅವಾಗ ನಮ್ಮ ಬಾಡಿನಲ್ಲಿ ಗೊತ್ತಿಲ್ಲದೇನೆ ಈ ಚೇಂಜಸ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ದಟ್ ಮೆಸೇಜ್ ಗೋಸ್ ಟು ದ ಮೆಡುಲಾ ಒಬ್ಲಾಂಗೇಟಾ. ಇಟ್ ಇಸ್ ಅ ಪಾರ್ಟ್ ಆಫ್ ದ ಹೈಂಡ್ ಬ್ರೈನ್. That message goes to the medulla oblongata. As I said, part of the hind brain. Medulla oblongata sends impulses to the mast cells and basophil cells. They become active and secretes the histamine. This histamine increases the lumen of the blood vessel. This is called vasodilator. ಇದು ಆಗ್ಲಿಲ್ಲ ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ಡೆಫಿನೆಟ್ಲಿ ಪ್ರತಿಯೊಬ್ಬ ಮನುಷ್ಯನಿಗೂ ಕೂಡ ಹೈಪರ್ ಟೆನ್ಷನ್ ಬರ್ತಾ ಇತ್ತು. I think you are getting it. So increase the lumen of the blood vessel. That is called vasodilator. I think it is very clear for you. Clear? When the volume of the blood exceeds more than 5 liters, that message goes to the medulla oblongata of the brain. that sends impulses to the basophil cells and mast cells, become active and secrete the histamine. This histamine increases the lumen of the blood vessel. ಅವಾಗ ಯಾವುದೇ ರೀತಿ ನಮ್ಮ ಬಾಡಿನಲ್ಲಿ ಹೈ ಬ್ಲಡ್ ಪ್ರೆಷರ್ ಆಗೋದು ಬರೋದಿಲ್ಲ, ನಾರ್ಮಲ್ ಕಂಡೀಷನ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. I think it is very clear. Suppose if the same person met with an accident, ಅದೇ ಪರ್ಸನ್ಗೆ ಏನಾದರೂ ಆಕ್ಸಿಡೆಂಟ್ ಆಗಿದೆ ಅಂದ್ಕೊಳ್ಳೋಣ, ಔಟ್ ಆಫ್ 5 ಲೀಟರ್ಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ 1 ಲೀಟರ್ ಬ್ಲಡ್ ಲಾಸ್ ಆಗಿದೆ, ಅಲ್ಲಿಗೆ ಎಷ್ಟಿರುತ್ತೆ ಅವನ ಬಾಡಿನಲ್ಲಿ? ಓನ್ಲಿ 4 ಲೀಟರ್ಸ್. ದಟ್ ಮೆಸೇಜ್ ಆಲ್ಸೋ ಗೋಸ್ ಟು ದ ಮೆಡುಲ್ಲಾ ಒಬ್ಲಾಂಗೇಟಾ ಆಫ್ ದ ಬ್ರೈನ್, sends impulses to the mast cells and basophil cells. They become active and secrete the serotonin. This serotonin decreases the lumen of the blood vessel. This is called the vasoconstrictor. This is called the vasoconstrictor. This is called vasoconstrictor. I think it is very clear. ನೋಡಿ, ಅದೇ ಪರ್ಸನ್ಗೆ ಆಕ್ಸಿಡೆಂಟ್ ಆದಾಗ 5 ಲೀಟರ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ 1 ಲೀಟರ್ ಬ್ಲಡ್ ಲಾಸ್ ಆಗಿದೆ ಅಂದ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ, ಆ ಮೆಸೇಜ್ ಕೂಡ ಮೆಡುಲ್ಲಾಗಿ ಹೋಗುತ್ತೆ. ಮೆಡುಲ್ಲಾ sends impulses to the mast cells and basophil cells. They become active and secrete serotonin. This serotonin decreases the lumen of the blood vessel. ಈ ಚೇಂಜ್ ಆಗ್ಲಿಲ್ಲ ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ನಮ್ಮಲ್ಲಿ ಹೈಪೋ ಟೆನ್ಷನ್ ಬರ್ತಾ ಇತ್ತು, ಲೋ ಬಿ ಪಿ ಬರ್ತಾ ಇತ್ತು. ಯು ನೋ ದಟ್ ಲೋ ಬಿ ಪಿ ಇಸ್ ಮೋರ್ ಡೇಂಜರಸ್ ದೆನ್ ಹೈ ಬಿ ಪಿ, ಕರೆಕ್ಟಾ? ನೋಡಿ, ಆ ತರ ಒಂದು ಕಂಡೀಷನ್ಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಈ ಕೆಮಿಕಲ್ಸ್ ಆಟೋಮೆಟಿಕ್ ಆಗಿ ನಮ್ಮಲ್ಲಿ ನಾರ್ಮಲ್ ಬ್ಲಡ್ ಪ್ರೆಷರ್ ಅನ್ನ ಮೇಂಟೈನ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. ಇನ್ಕ್ರೀಸ್ ದ ಲುಮೆನ್ ಆಫ್ ದ ಬ್ಲಡ್ ವೆಸಲ್, ವ್ಯಾಸೋಡೈಲೇಟರ್ ಯಾವುದು? ಹಿಸ್ಟಾಮೈನ್. ಡಿಕ್ರೀಸಸ್ ದ ಲುಮೆನ್ ಆಫ್ ದ ಬ್ಲಡ್ ವೆಸಲ್, ವ್ಯಾಸೋಕನ್ಸ್ಟ್ರಿಕ್ಟರ್ ಯಾವುದು? ಸೆರೋಟೋನಿನ್. You remember this. These are very important for the need. So these are the 3 secretions of the mast cells. Allige fibrocytes we have completed, macrophages also, then mast cells. Next, another cell types present in matrix of the areolar connective tissue are the plasma cells. So this is called plasma cell. This is called plasma cell. Plasma cell. These are the small irregular cells with oval nuclei. These are the small irregular cells with oval nuclei. These plasma cells always produce the antibodies. Plasma cells produce the antibodies. You know that antibodies are always protect us from the various kinds of the pathogens or diseases. I think it is very clear for you. So, plasma cells, these are the small irregular cells with oval nuclei. They produce the antibodies. The last one is the adipocytes. Last one is the adipocytes. This is called adipocyte. The fat storing cells are called adipocytes. Fat storing cells are called adipocytes. I think it is very clear. The details I am going to explain in adipose connective tissue. So these are the 5 types of cells present in matrix of the areolar connective tissue. Fibrocytes or fibroblasts secrete white and yellow fibers. Macrophages, phagocytic in nature, engulf the bacteria and dead cells. Then mast cells secrete the matrix and 3 secretions like heparin, anticoagulant, histamine, vasodilator, serotonin, vasoconstrictor. Plasma cells produce antibodies. Then adipocytes meant for storage of the fat. Clear? So these are the 3 types of the cells. Next, let us come to the what are the fibers present in the matrix of the areolar connective tissue. Yes. Okay, next let us come to the three types of fibers present in the matrix of the areolar connective tissue. They are the white fibers. They are the white fibers, yellow fibers, white fibers, yellow fibers, and reticulate fibers. White fibers, yellow fibers, and reticulate fibers. These are the three types of fibers present in the matrix of the areolar connective tissue. Okay. Three types of fibers present in the matrix of the areolar connective tissue. When we are going to observe this slide under the compound microscope, we are able to see only white and yellow fibers. We can't able to see all the cell types. Under electron microscope, it is possible to see all the cell types and also reticulate fibers. But under compound microscope, we are able to see only white and yellow fibers. By seeing that fibers only, we can recognize oh it is areolar connective tissue. You remember this. Now let us come to the some of the important characters of white fibers and yellow fibers. White fibers are found in the form of bundles. Listen to me here. Let us consider this is the white fiber. These are the white fibers. These are the white fibers. And this is the yellow fiber. These are the yellow fibers. Yellow fibers. And these are the white fibers. Okay. Now I'll give the differences between white and yellow fibers. Easy to remember. Okay, white fibers and yellow fibers. White fibers and yellow fibers. White fibers contain protein called collagen. Hence, they are also called as collagenous fibers. You remember this. White fibers contain protein called collagen. I think you know that. This is the abundant protein among the animals. Collagen is the abundant protein among the animals. These white fibers contain protein called collagen. Hence, they are also called as collagenous fibers. Then you can ask me, which is the abundant protein among the plants? I think that you studied in photosynthesis. That is called rubisco. Rubisco, abundant protein as in case of plants. In animals, collagen. Okay, next one. Yellow fibers contain protein called elastin. Yellow fibers contain protein called elastin. Hence, they are also called as elastic fibers. White fibers contain protein called collagen. Hence, they are also called as collagenous fibers. Yellow fibers contain protein called elastin. Hence, they are also called as elastic fibers. This is the one. White fibers are found in the form of bundles. See here. It is a bundle of white fibers. Always in bundles. Yellow fibers are found singly. Yellow fibers are found singly. But one on the other node. This is the yellow fiber. They are found singly. But white fibers are found in bundles. Then white fibers are wavy like this only. Andre waves ತರ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. Yellow fibers are straight. Yellow fibers are the straight ಆಗಿರುತ್ತೆ. White fibers are wavy in nature. Yellow fibers are straight. Next, white fibers are unbranched. White fibers are unbranched. Yellow fibers are branched. Yellow fibers are branched. See here, this is the unbranched white fiber, but here yellow fibers are branched only. Next, white fibers are thin. Yellow fibers are thick. White fibers are elastic. Yellow fibers are non-elastic. Then they give strength to the tissue. They give elasticity to the tissue. Elasticity to the tissue. So these are the differences between white fibers and yellow fibers. Clear up. So first one is the white fibers contain protein called collagen. Hence they are also called as collagenous fibers. Yellow fibers contain protein called elastin. Hence, they are also called as elastic fibers. They are found in the form of bundles. They are found singly. They are wavy in nature, straight, unbranched, branched, thin, thick, elastic, non-elastic. Give strength to the tissue, elasticity to the tissue. So these are the differences. Next one is the reticulate fibers. Network-like fibers present in the matrix of the areolar connective tissue called the reticulate fibers. Since these fibers contain protein called reticulin, hence the name reticulate fibers. These fibers contain protein called reticulin, hence the name reticulate fibers. Since they are always in the form of network, they provide support to the ground tissue. You remember this. Support to the tissue. Clear? So these are the three types of the fibers. I think you are getting it. So five types of cells, three types of fibers. So with this we have completed the areolar connective tissue. Now let us come to the adipose tissue. Adipose tissue. Adipose tissue. The fat storing tissue in our body is called adipose tissue. Fat storing tissue in our body is called adipose tissue. Is called adipose tissue. The fat storing tissue in our body is called adipose tissue. Adipose tissue is always present below the skin. Adipose tissue present below the skin. Below the skin. It is also present around the kidneys, blood vessels, around the kidneys, blood vessels, around the heart, eyes, intestine, and also in the bone marrow of the long bones. Bone marrow of the long bones. So all these places, even in the brain also you can find the adipose tissue. Below the skin, between the muscles, below the skin, between the muscles, between the kidneys, blood vessels, heart, eyes, intestine, and also in the bone marrow of the long bones. All these places you can find the adipose connective tissue. Clear? I think you are getting now. Before going to the structure of the adipose tissue, let us come to what are the functions of adipose tissue. Number one, it is meant for the storage of the reserve food materials in the form of neutral fats. Storage of the reserve food material in the form of neutral fats. This is the one. Number two, it prevents the loss of heat from the body. It prevents the loss of heat from the body. That means helps to maintain the constant body temperature. We are the warm-blooded animals. Our body temperature cannot change according to change in the temperature of the external environment. Okay, ನಮ್ಮ temperature ನಾವೇ constant ಆಗಿ maintain ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಳೇಬೇಕಾಗುತ್ತೆ. Adipose tissue also plays significant role to maintain the constant body temperature. One more example I can give. In aquatic mammals like blue whale, biggest aquatic mammal. Just below the skin there is a thick layer of the fat is called blubber. You remember this. Just below the skin there is a thick layer of the fat is called blubber. It prevents the loss of heat from the body and also acts as a reservoir. ಇವಾಗ ಮ್ಯಾಮಲ್ ಅದು ಅಕ್ವಾಟಿಕ್ ನೇಚರ್ ಬ್ಲೂ ವೇಲ್ ಅಕ್ವಾಟಿಕ್ ಮ್ಯಾಮಲ್ ಆಗಿದ್ರು ಕೂಡ ಲೈಕ್ ಅಸ್ ಇಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಆಲ್ಸೋ ಎ ವಾರ್ಮ್ ಬ್ಲಡೆಡ್ ಅನಿಮಲ್ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ನಮ್ ತರ ಅದು ಕೂಡ ಕಾನ್ಸ್ಟೆಂಟ್ ಬಾಡಿ ಟೆಂಪರೇಚರ್ ಅನ್ನ ಮೇಂಟೈನ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಬೇಕಾಗುತ್ತೆ. ಬ್ಲಬ್ಬರ್ ಇಟ್ ಹೆಲ್ಪ್ಸ್ ಟು ಮೇಂಟೈನ್ ದ ಕಾನ್ಸ್ಟೆಂಟ್ ಬಾಡಿ ಟೆಂಪರೇಚರ್. ಯು ರಿಮೆಂಬರ್ ದಿಸ್. ಕ್ಲಿಯರ್? ದಿಸ್ ಇಸ್ ದ ಒನ್ ಫಂಕ್ಷನ್. Number 3, in some places adipose tissue it acts as a shock absorber. You remember that also. In some places adipose tissue acts as the shock absorber. I can give the example. Okay, palm of the hand here. I think you are getting now. Palm of the hand. Clear? Palm of the hand, sole of the foot, palm of the hand, sole of the foot, and also in the buttocks. All these places it acts as a shock absorber. I think you are getting it. Palm of the hand, sole of the foot, and also in the buttocks. All these places adipose tissue it acts as a shock absorber. This is the third function of the adipose tissue. Next, you know that it is also forms packaging tissue between the organs and parts of the body. It also forms a packaging tissue between the organs and other parts of the body. So these are the four functions of the adipose tissue. I'll repeat once again. Meant for the storage of the reserve food material in the form of neutral fats. Acts as a packaging tissue between the organs and other parts of the body. Acts as a shock absorber in some regions of the body. Palm of the, hand, sole of the foot and buttocks. Also prevents the loss of heat from the body. And one more point you should remember. In blue whale, just below the skin, there is a thick layer of the fat is called adipose tissue. Thick layer of the fat or adipose tissue called blubber. It prevents the loss of heat from the body and also acts as a reservoir. Clear? So these are the functions of the adipose tissue. Now let us come to the what is the structure of the adipose tissue. Let us consider this is an adipose tissue. Here also matrix of the adipose tissue contains a few fibrocytes or fibroblasts. Okay, white fibers, yellow fibers, and more number of fat storing cells are called adipocytes. More number of fat storing cells are called adipocytes. You remember this. A few fibrocytes, yellow, white fibers, and more number of fat storing cells are called adipocytes. Adipocytes. Initially, the adipocytes have numerous small fat globules. Numerous fat globules. Later, all these small fat globules are united together to form a largest single fat globule. So this is called fat globule. This fat globule, it pushes the nucleus and cytoplasm towards the peripheral region. It pushes the nucleus and cytoplasm towards the peripheral region and forming a signet ring. And forming a signet ring. I think it is very clear for you. Clear? So this much you should remember into the structure. So matrix of the adipose tissue contain few fibrocytes, so white and yellow fibers. But ಇವು ಅಷ್ಟು ಪ್ರಾಮಿನೆಂಟ್ ಆಗಿ ಕಾಣಿಸುವುದಿಲ್ಲ ಯಾಕಂದ್ರೆ ನಂಬರ್ ಕಮ್ಮಿ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. Large number of fat storing cells are called adipocytes. Initially, each adipocyte has a small fat droplets. So, later, all these are united together to form a large fat globule. This globule pushes the nucleus and cytoplasm towards the peripheral region, hence forming a signet ring. I think it is very clear for you. So this much you should remember under the adipose tissue. These two are the loose connective tissues like areolar and adipose tissue. Okay, next we'll go for the dense connective tissue. Yes. Okay, next let us come to the dense connective tissue. It is also called as dense fibrous connective tissue. It is also called dense fibrous connective tissue. Here, fibrocytes and fibers are arranged compactly. Fibers and fibrocytes are packed compactly. Depending upon the orientation of the fibers now, dense fibrous connective tissue is of two types. They are the dense regular connective tissue, dense regular fibrous connective tissue, and dense irregular tissue. Dense regular and dense irregular. These are the two types. In the dense regular, it contains, so this is the dense regular connective tissue. In the dense regular, matrix contains more number of white fibers, collagenous fibers. These fibers are not found in bundles, but they are found in parallel rows between the parallel bundles. But present in rows between the parallel bundles. All these fibers are oriented in one direction, like this only. That is why it is called dense regular. That is why it is called dense regular. You remember this. I think you are getting it. The matrix of the dense regular connective tissue contains abundant collagenous fibers. These fibers are not arranged in parallel bundles, but present in rows between the parallel bundles. Present in rows between the parallel bundles. This tissue forms two types of structures. This tissue forms two types of structures, namely cords and sheaths. This tissue forms two types. This tissue forms two types of structures, cords and sheaths. There are two types of cords are there. They are the tendons and ligaments. They are the tendons and ligaments. So, the matrix of the dense regular connective tissue contains abundant collagenous fibers. These are not found in parallel bundles, but are always in rows between the parallel bundles. This tissue forms two types of structures, cords and sheaths. There are two types of cords, tendons and ligaments. Usually in this type, you people have to concentrate only these two. Tendons always connect skeletal muscles to the bones. You remember this. Ligaments always connect bone to the bone. I think you are getting it. Tendons which connect skeletal muscles to the bone. Ligaments always connect bone to the bone. ಇವಾಗ ನಮ್ಮ ಬಾಡಿನಲ್ಲಿ ಬೋನ್ಸ್ ಒಂದಕ್ಕೊಂದು ಅಟ್ಯಾಚ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಇಲ್ಲ ಆಕ್ಚುಲಿ, ಲಿಗಮೆಂಟ್ಸ್ ಹಿಡ್ಕೊಂಡಿದೆ. ಅವಾಗ ನಮ್ಮ ಬಾಡಿಗೆ ಒಂದು ಫ್ರೇಮ್ ವರ್ಕ್ ಅನ್ನ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದೆ. ನಾವೇನಾದ್ರೂ ಲಿಗಮೆಂಟ್ಸ್ ನೀಟಾಗಿ ತೆಗೆದಿದೀವಿ ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ಒಂದೊಂದು ಬೋನ್ ಪೀಸ್ ಅನ್ನು ಸೈಡ್ಗೆ ತೆಗೆದು ಇಡಬಹುದು. I think you are getting this, so that you should keep in mind. So these two are very important. There are two types of cords in dense regular connective tissue, tendons and ligaments. Tendons which connect skeletal muscles to the bone, whereas the ligaments connect bone to the bone. So this much you should remember in the dense regular. Now let us into the dense irregular connective tissue. Here the orientation of fibers is not at all regular. Always direct all the directions in the matrix. Ella kadenu hogta irutte. In addition to that fibers, the matrix also contains less number of fibrocytes. Nodi ee tara all the directions hogta irutte fibers. Illu one regular rows irutte, but here not like this. All the directions there are actually. Ee madhyadalli some fibrocytes we can find. That is why it is called dense irregular anta kareeತೀವಿ. So, in the dense irregular connective tissue, the fibers are not oriented in a rows. Here, the collagenous fibers run in all directions to provide mechanical support. Collagenous fibers run in all directions to provide mechanical support. In our body, this tissue present below the skin, covering sheaths of the muscles, nerves, cartilage, and sclera of eyes. So this dense irregular in our body present below the skin, covering sheaths of muscles, nerves, cartilage, and sclera of eyes, where you can find the dense irregular connective tissue. So that you should keep in mind. So these two are the dense connective tissue, regular and irregular. I think it is very clear. Next, last one is the specialized connective tissues. In our syllabus, there are four specialized connective tissues are there. One is the cartilage, bone, blood, and lymph. Blood and lymph. So these are the four types of cartilage, specialized connective tissue: cartilage, bone, blood, and lymph. Here we are going to discuss only cartilage and bone, because blood and lymph already we have studied in body fluids and circulation. So that is why here we are going to concentrate only the cartilage and the bone. Okay, first let us come to the cartilage. You know that cartilage is a flexible connective tissue. Flexible connective tissue. It forms a endoskeleton in the embryonic stage. Cartilage forms endoskeleton in the embryonic stage in most of the mammals. I think you are getting it. Okay. Or most of the cartilages, chordates also you can say that. I think you are getting now. So cartilage, it is also called as a crystal. It is also called as crystal. Actually, as I said, cartilage forms endoskeleton in embryonic stage. But in adults, most of the cartilages are replaced by the bones. But in some places, they remain as cartilages only. I think you are getting it. As I said, cartilage is also called as crystal. Cartilage also called as crystal. I think it is very clear for you. In our body, cartilage present in the tip of nose. Tip of nose. Tip of the nose. Larynx, trachea, bronchi, and also present in the external pinna. Also present in external pinna. All these places you can find the cartilages. Got it? Know what I am telling you? So cartilage forms endoskeleton in the embryonic stage. In adults, most of the cartilages are replaced by the bones, but in some places it remains as cartilage only. In our body, cartilage present in the tip of the nose, larynx, trachea, bronchi, external pinna or external earlobe, etc. I think you are getting it. Cartilage. Cartilage is surrounded by a tough connective tissue membrane. A tough connective tissue membrane is called perichondrium. Externally, cartilage is surrounded by a tough connective tissue membrane is called perichondrium. Below the perichondrium, there is a matrix. This is called matrix. The matrix of the cartilage contains protein called chondrin. Matrix of the cartilage contains protein called chondrin. I think you are getting it. With irregularly distributed spaces. The matrix of the cartilage contains protein called chondrin with irregularly distributed spaces are called lacunae. Irregularly distributed spaces are called lacunae. And also, white fibers are also present in the matrix of the cartilage. But white fibers are not clearly visible because both matrix and white fibers have same refractive index and staining property. I think that is why white fibers are not clearly visible. I think it is very clear. So I'll repeat once again. Externally, cartilage is covered by a tough connective tissue membrane is called perichondrium, containing blood vessels, supply nutrients to the underlying tissues. That perichondrium encloses matrix. Matrix of the cartilage contains protein called chondrin, irregularly distributed spaces called lacunae, and white fibers. The white fibers are not clearly visible because the matrix and white fibers have the same refractive index and staining property. Clear? Okay, listen to me. In the matrix, each lacuna contains a cartilage cell is called chondrocyte. Cartilage cell is called chondrocyte, also called as chondroblast. Matrix contain cartilage cell, also called as cartilage cell called chondrocyte, also called as chondroblast. These cartilage cells now, they always occur singly or in groups of two. Okay, they always occur singly or in groups of two, or in groups of four, or in groups of eight. They always occur singly or in groups of two, or in groups of four, or in groups of eight. I think you are getting it. See, these are only the cartilage cells. Why? They always occur singly, or in groups of two, or in groups of four, or in groups of eight. because these cells undergo mitotic divisions. Undergo mitotic divisions. That is should keep normal. I'll repeat once again. Lacuna contains cartilaginous cells are called chondrocytes. As I said, are chondroblasts. They occur singly, or in groups of 2, or in groups of 4, or in groups of 8 because they undergo mitotic division. Clear? So these are the points you should remember under the cartilage. Cartilage is of different types. These types are not in your syllabus. Just I am going to mention. Different types are there. One is the hyaline cartilage. One is the hyaline cartilage. Second one is the fibrous cartilage. Hyaline cartilage. Fibrous cartilage. Elastic cartilage. Elastic cartilage. Elastic cartilage and calcified cartilage and calcified cartilage. Calcified cartilage. So these are the different types of the cartilage. Hyaline cartilage, fibrous cartilage, elastic cartilage and calcified cartilage. Clear? So this is the one specialized connective tissue, that is the cartilage. Next one is the bone. Bone. Bone is also called as osseous tissue. Bone is also called as osseous tissue. Bone is also called as osseous tissue because the matrix of the bone contains a protein called osteon. Matrix of the bone contains protein called osin. Yeah, osin. Hence it is also called as osseous tissue. Matrix of the bone contains protein called osin. Hence it is also called as osseous tissue. You know that it is a hard rigid connective tissue. It is a hard rigid connective tissue. It forms endoskeleton in most of the vertebrates except cartilaginous fishes. It forms endoskeleton in most of the bony fishes and the chordates. Bony fishes and chordates except cartilaginous fishes. You remember this. I think it is very clear for you. The hardness of the bone is mainly due to the presence of calcium and magnesium apatite. Hardness of the bone is mainly due to the presence of calcium and magnesium pectate. You know that bones are the hallohartons. Exactly at the center of the bone there is a cavity filled with fluid, vascular and fatty tissue. Is called bone marrow. Is called bone marrow. Bones are the hallohartons. Exactly at the center of the bone there is a cavity. That cavity is filled with vascular and adipose tissue called bone marrow. Bone marrow. Bone marrow is of two types, namely red marrow and yellow marrow. Namely red marrow and yellow marrow. Red marrow is meant for the production of the blood cells. That is why bone is the seat of blood cell production. Red marrow is meant for the production of the blood cells. And yellow marrow is meant for the storage of the fat. Red bone marrow is meant for the production of the blood cells. And yellow marrow is meant for the storage of the fat. I think ಇವಾಗ ನಾನ್ ವೆಜ್ ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥವರಲ್ಲಿ ಮಟನ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಒಂದು ಬೋನ್ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. ನಾವೇನ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ, ಮೌತ್ ಕ್ಯಾವಿಟಿ ನಲ್ಲಿ ಇಟ್ಕೊಂಡು ಎಳಿತೀವಿ. ಬರ್ಲಿಲ್ಲ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಕೆಳಗಡೆ ಹೊಡೆದ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಎಳಿತೀವಿ. ದಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಓನ್ಲಿ ಕಾಲ್ಡ್ ಬೋನ್ ಮ್ಯಾರೋ. That cavity is filled with the vascular and fatty tissue is called bone marrow. As I said, two types are there. Red marrow meant for the production of the blood cells, RBC, WBC, platelets. Yellow marrow is meant for the storage of the fat. Clear? Next one. Externally, bone is covered by a tough connective tissue membrane. Is called periosteum. Externally, bone is covered by a tough connective tissue membrane is called periosteum, and internally by endosteum. Internally by endosteum. Externally, bone is covered by a tough connective tissue membrane is called periosteum, and internally by endosteum. Between periosteum and endosteum, there are numerous longitudinal canals. Between the periosteum and endosteum, there are numerous longitudinal canals. So these are the longitudinal canals, all called Abaxian canals. are called Haversian canals. Haversian canals. These Haversian canals are interconnected by transverse canals are called Volkmann's canals. Transverse canals are called Volkmann's canals. You remember this. Between the periosteum and endosteum, there are numerous longitudinal canals are called Haversian canals. They are interconnected by transverse canals are called Volkmann's canals. Clear? I think it is very clear for you. Okay. Listen to me. Each Haversian canal, let us consider, it is an Haversian canal. It contains a branch of blood vessel, lymph vessel, and a nerve. This is the Haversian canal. This is the Haversian canal. Contains blood vessel, lymphatic vessel, and nerve. It is surrounded by 2 to 40 concentric circles. Each Haversian canal is surrounded by 2 to 40 concentric circles like this. 2 to 40 concentric circles. So these are called lamellae. So these are called lamellae. Irregularly distributed spaces present in the lamellae like this only. Irregularly distributed spaces. Irregularly distributed spaces present in the lamellae. Irregularly distributed spaces present in the lamellae are called lacunae. Here, each lacuna contains a single bone cell. Is called osteocyte, also called as osteoblast. Single bone cell is called osteocyte, also called as osteoblast. Clear up? So this is the Haversian canal. Contains a branch of blood vessel, lymphatic vessel, and nerve. It is surrounded by 2 to 40 concentric circles lamellae. Irregularly distributed spaces present in the lamellae are called lacunae. Each lacuna contains a single bone cell. Osteocyte are also called as osteoblast. The lamellae are connected with one another by fine protoplasmic structures are called canaliculi. Canaliculi. Haversian canal, lamellae, lacunae, canaliculi together called Haversian system. It is the structural and functional unit of the mammalian bone. It is the structural and functional unit of the mammalian bone. Clear? So this is the another specialized connective tissue is called bone. I'll repeat once again. Bone is a hard rigid connective tissue. Hardness of the bone is mainly due to the presence of calcium and magnesium oxide. Bones are the hollow organs. At the center, there is a cavity filled with vascular and adipose tissue or fatty tissue is called bone marrow. It is of two types, red marrow and yellow marrow. Red marrow is meant for the production of the blood cells. Yellow marrow is meant for the storage of the fat. Externally, bone is covered by tough connective tissue membrane is called periosteum and internally by endosteum. Between the periosteum and endosteum, there are numerous longitudinal canals called Haversian canals, which are interconnected by transverse canals called Volkmann's canals. Clear? Each Haversian canal contains blood vessel, a lymphatic vessel, and nerve. Surrounded by 2 to 40 concentric circles are called lamellae. Irregularly distributed spaces present in the lamellae are called lacunae. Here, each lacuna contains single bone cell called osteocyte, also called as osteoblast. Clear? Lamellae are connected by fine protoplasmic structures are called canaliculi. Haversian canal, lamellae, lacunae, canaliculi together called Haversian system. It is the structural and functional unit of the mammalian bone. It is the structural and functional unit of the mammalian bone. Clear? So these two are the specialized connective tissues, cartilage as well as the bone. I think it is very clear for you. So with this, we have completed the epithelial tissues and connective tissues. As I said, muscular tissues and neural tissues already we have completed. while studying the locomotion and movement, neural control and coordination, and blood and lymph. This we have completed in body fluids and circulation. Clear? So this much you should remember under the structural organization animals, that is called animal tissues. Okay. Next, after the break, I am going to continue the type study of cockroach. I think it is very clear for us. Okay. Thank you.